Let's start. So this is the special meeting of the Board of Fire Commissioners. The date is Tuesday, April 6, 2021, and it's after 9 a.m. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Hara, we're going to be calling the roll. If you'll please press *6 to unmute. President Ibarra,
Here.
Vice President Glazier,
Here.
Commissioner Hara,
Here.
Commissioner Nimberg,
Here.
and Commissioner Woods Gray is not attending the meeting today. Let the record reflect, Commissioners Ibarra, Glazier, Hara, and Nimberg are present. We have a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you. Can we start with flag salute and moment of silence?
Everybody please stand. Right hand over your heart. Ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag
of the United States of America and to the
and to the
republic
republic
for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join me in a moment of silence in honor of past and present members of the Los Angeles City Fire Department who have devoted their lives to the protection of our community. Thank you.
President Ibarra, I believe that Stephanie is going to read into the record the directions for providing public comment.
Thank you.
Good morning. Persons may listen to this meeting live by dialing any of the telephone numbers listed on the cover of the agenda for this meeting. Should you dial one of these numbers, you will be able to listen to the meeting, but will not be able to give public comment during the meeting. Anyone wishing to address the Board of Fire Commissioners on any item on agenda prior to action by the board on that specific item or during general public comment should call 1-669-900-9128. When you're asked for a meeting ID number, please enter 822-4190-6351, followed by the pound sign. Then press the pound sign again and to continue. You will then be joined into the meeting. To alert the board that you want to give public comment, press *9 to raise your hand. You will be called on by board staff who may refer to you using the last 4 digits of your number. When unmuted by the staff, press *6 to unmute. Please state your name. Public comment will be limited to 2 minutes per person for each item addressed. These instructions may also be found on the front page of the meeting agenda. Thank you.
Thanks. Let's start with commissioner comments.
Commissioner Nimberg here. I just want to say thank you to the department for an incredible job with the vaccine rollout. I mean, it's pretty extraordinary, and the expansion. I just want to say thank you so much.
Thanks. Do we have any others?
Commissioner Glazier just wanted to second Commissioner Nimberg's comments.
Thank you. Can we move on to report of the fire chief?
Yes, Madam President, I have 3 events to share with you. On Wednesday, March 17th, I participated in a Zoom meeting with the Brentwood Homeowners Association with City Attorney Mike Fuhrer, Councilmember Bonin, LAPD Police Chief Mike Moore. A lot of interest on our brush fire preparation and pre-planning. A lot of questions about homelessness that were directed towards LAPD, but overall a very positive opportunity for us to interact with the Brentwood community. On Wednesday, March 24th, I had the opportunity to go down to our museum at 27's to film an interview about the Rosenbauer electric fire engine, and they had the prototype there at the museum. The interview is going to be posted on Bloomberg News. And while I had the prototype, I drove it to Fire Station 82, which is going to be the future home of the new apparatus that we expect to receive in September of this year. I backed it into the fire station, had a lot of clearance. It's actually a little bit narrower than our traditional engines. A lot of interest from our members at 82s. They're all able to tour the vehicle. Had a lot of questions. There's a lot of excitement and anticipation of that new apparatus. Later that afternoon, I attended a press conference at USC at our latest vaccination site. The mayor was there, and we vaccinated Magic Johnson, Arsenio Hall, and Danny Trejo. We have issues in the communities of color, Black and brown communities, in terms of low vaccination rates. So I was very happy to see that these Los Angeles celebrities lend their name and their reputation to encourage others in that community to get the vaccine. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Can we move the consent agenda items, please?
Sure, I move the recommendations for items 3A through 3K.
Second.
Just to confirm that we don't have any public comments on any of those matters.
I'm reviewing right now. I do not see any hand raised.
Okay, so let's move those. Do we need a vote now?
Let's do a roll call vote, Madam President.
Commissioner Hara, we're going to do a roll call. I ask you to please press *6 to unmute. President Ibarra,
Aye.
Vice President Glazier,
Yes.
Commissioner Hara,
Aye.
Commissioner Nimberg.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, let's have the first item of the regular meeting agenda, which is report by the department on the reconfiguration of the Orson County Tourism section. I know that this is something that Commissioner Woods Gray wanted to hear. So I know she's not here, so I wonder if we should continue it.
Yeah, yes, Madam President, I was going to suggest that as well.
Okay, so let's continue that one, and then let's move on to B, which is report by the department on the Los Angeles Fire Department LAFD Recruit Training Academy overview.
Morning, Madam President, Chief Terrazas, Commissioners. I'm Steve Skelly, Battalion Chief, Recruit Services Section, and I'm honored to present to you our recruit training overview. Just to confirm, everyone can hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
This report reflects data and analysis from the time recruit firefighters enter the academy through the end of their probation. The timeline to obtain a full data set from one academy class takes approximately 18 months to mature. And this report captures data from 6 academy classes, that's 18-1 through -20-1. You'll see that on page 3. And just to go through some definitions, the data parameters used to ensure consistency in presentation and analysis include new hires, which is the number of new recruit firefighters for an academy, graduates, which refers to recruits who successfully complete the academy and then completed probation. This refers to probationary firefighters who have successfully completed their 1-year field internship. On page 4, you'll see our in status section. This includes data from all fields, new hires, graduates, and those who have completed probation. There were 3 academy classes, classes 18-1, 18-2, and 18-3 that met these parameters. And it was found that there was an 83% academy retention rate at graduation, which is a 2% decrease from last report of 85%. However, note that 83% has been consistent since class 14-1. We had 154 members complete probation compared to 142 members last reporting period. And the probationary retention rate has remained consistent with our last report at 97%. The in status female retention rate has increased by 13% since the last overview report. This is compared to classes 17-1, 17-2, and 17-3. Female academy retention has increased by 13%. Our last reporting period was 50%. This period, I'm proud to say, is 63. The female members who completed probation from class 17-1, 2, and 3 were 10 members, and in class 18-1, 2, and 3, we're now at 15. On page 5, you'll see that of the 191 graduates who advanced to probation, only 5 probationary firefighters, that's 2.8%, did not complete probation. Please note that none were due to performance issues. 4 resigned for personal reasons and 1 for misconduct. On page 4, looking at chart 1.2, you'll see the ethnicity breakdown of classes 18-1, 2, and 3, representing 154 new members that have completed their probationary period. We have 27 African American, which represents 18% of the whole, 14 Asian, representing 9%, 63 Caucasian, representing 41%, 3 Filipino, representing 2%, 45 Hispanic, representing 29%, and 2 Native American, representing 1%. Please note that of the 191 new recruits, we had an overall retention rate, this is after probation, of 81% with 154 permanent members. The ongoing status you'll see on pages 6 and 7 measure the 2 academy classes, which includes 2 of the 3 data fields, which is new hires and graduates. This population of recruits have graduated from the academy are still progressing through their probationary period. Class 19-1 will be off probation actually later this month, and class 19-2 will be in October. We have 99 members in this category. A few highlights include that diversity in the academy remains relatively consistent from new hire through graduation. You can see the pie graph on page 7. Female representation equals 10% of probationary members. By comparison, in 2018, female representation was 11%, and in 2017 was 7%. So we have a marked increase from 2017. Female representation totaled 18% of new hires, which is a 5% increase from our last reporting period of 13%. Page 8 begins the current academy section, which includes 1 academy class, that's 20-1. They are currently in their 16th week of instruction, preparing for their probationary assignments, followed by their May 20th graduation. Class 20-1, it's a small class, and this is due to budgetary constraints because of our COVID crisis. Our current class began in December with 35 new hires, and will be graduating in May. Page 9 and 10 starts our overall analysis. The Candidate Assistance Program, it's our CAPS program, continues to be a valuable tool to provide regular opportunities for candidates to gain exposure to the LAFD cultures and the rigors of the fire service. Our last reporting period, we were excited to report that we had added a 3rd venue for CAPS, and it was running well. However, soon thereafter, due to the pandemic, we needed to shut down the entire in-person CAPS program. We had to be very creative and use technology to offer CAPS to our new class via Zoom and Google Meets, thus increasing the opportunities for recruit success. We're pleased to announce that we are now back to CAPS 3 days per week, and our staff and our candidates are excited with the progress that the program is making. This reporting period, COVID-19, has had a tremendous impact on the training academy. During this reporting period, class 19-1, we had to graduate them early in an effort to relieve staffing shortages. We were able to accomplish this by having the staff in the recruit class. They ended up working 6-day weeks, 6 days per week for about a month. And we pushed some of their training into their field training assignments. And we are pleased to say that all of that training has been completed as of next week. will have all that training complete, and they have not missed anything. They're all going to be firefighter 1 and firefighter 2 certified. Class 19-2 graduated with only one COVID case. We've been very cautious with social distancing, temperature checks, surface decontamination, a D7 regimen, and we've offered remote learning for recruits that happen to be in isolation. Our current class, that's 20-1 that started in December, that coincided with a COVID-19 spike. As the case count began to rise with our staff and the recruits, the decision was made to put everyone in isolation, and we used technology, Google Classroom, for an entire week of lecture. This tactical pause stopped the spread of the virus, and soon the vaccines became available. To date, we have not lost a single recruit due to COVID-19. In future classes, the vaccine will be offered to those recruits prior to starting the academy. In an effort to retain recruit firefighters, the Recruit Services Section and the Injury Prevention Unit continue to cooperate on injury prevention. The Injury Prevention Unit is available for recruit firefighters on their days off to gain professional assistance to prevent injury, enhance nutrition, and receive personalized strength and flexibility exercise program. This is a relatively new program, and so we don't have a complete set of data, but anecdotally, this is working, and it gives the recruits an opportunity to get some professional help without having to go off on an IOD injury. The probationary firefighter mentorship program was proposed last year as a pilot program, and this is coordinated by the Quality Assurance Unit. Feedback shows that this program is of significant value to graduating recruits as they transition to their field assignments. This program has a negligible financial footprint, and it's been permanently adopted by the Quality Assurance Unit. Annual staff calibration continues to be an integral part of our staff's continued education training. We invite speakers in our chain of command from the Fire Chief, Operations, Training and Support Bureau, Training Division, Recruit Services Section, Risk Management, and Behavioral Health. We invite stakeholders in this training as we reinforce to the entire training staff department expectation. We reinforce the vision, the mission, core values, and to ensure that there's no question of the importance of maintaining a work environment conducive for learning, free from harassment, discrimination, and retaliation. And finally, I visit the Academy often at Drill Tower 81, and I'd like to take this moment to acknowledge that our hardworking Academy instructors and staff are doing excellent work. We're extremely proud of their handling of recruit firefighters. This concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Thank you also for the report. It was very thorough. Commissioners, I assume that you have questions. Commissioner Nimberg?
Yes. Hi. Thank you so much.
Hi.
Yes, thank you so much for this report. And I want to commend, I mean, these are extraordinary times. So I know this last year has been unbelievable. And I want to commend you on the CAPS program. And I'm excited about the probationary firefighter mentorship program. That sounds extraordinary. I'd love to hear more about that. And also that they have access to the injury prevention unit. I mean, these are all excellent programs. I mean, from the sounds of it, I assume, that they are very effective, and I appreciate the creation of those. I had a couple of questions. Really the big question was, I didn't see anything in here about reassigns.
Commissioner, that's an excellent question. The way our data is marched out, we categorize people in our new hires, and then we have them as graduates. So they're counted on the way in as a new hire and counted as a graduate, whatever class they're in on the way out. My last time at the podium was giving a individual report on a particular class. That was 19-2, I believe. In that we had a complete breakdown of the reassigns. We plan on, I know this data seems confusing, and it is, trust me, we pull our hair out also. We're going to attempt to develop a system that makes the data a little bit more clear, and maybe extract reassigns from the data and have them kind of in their separate categories so that'd be easier to track and easier to see their status.
I think that would be great. Can we get maybe like if we can move this report and get a table with reassigns, because does that affect the fact that it's counted in graduates but not counted in new hires? Does that affect the percentage of probationary retention and completed? Or
Most of the data,
graduate.
once we have the complete data from new hired through end of probation, that data is complete, which it takes about 18 months on a perfect recruit that doesn't have any gaps in their training in order to get that whole data. So it won't change our overall numbers of about an 82% overall retention rate. However, it'll be easier to follow on a class by class basis.
Right. So like if you look at, you've got the completed data, on page 4, you have the academy retention at 63%, but does that include that includes the reassigns, but the reassigns aren't part of the new hires where you came up with the 63% retention?
That is correct.
So would that affect that number?
Yeah. At the end status, it will not affect the number. In the individual class, the individual breakdown of the class, it will affect the number. What's really important, and it's very confusing, it's difficult to do this. What we're trying to do is not double count recruits.
Right.
So, and that's why traditionally we have had this system set up of new hires and then counting them as a new hire going in and then as a graduate going out.
I definitely, I would love to see a table. This brought back to commission. I don't know if we need to go into too much of it now. We can bring it back in 30 days. If you could just add in the new hires so we know what that looks like. I mean, not the new hires, the reassigns. And then if I could get the breakdown of reassigns by gender and race.
And that would be very similar to the report that we gave you, the report that we gave you for class 19-2, I believe it was.
Right. Can we get that for this report?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I think, yes, I think that is really what I would like to see. And the current class here, you have, I have to say, your recruitment division is extraordinary. Bringing in 18%, female is amazing. African-Americans. I am concerned about the Hispanic numbers. They are not necessarily reflective of our city. So that's something I think that we need to work on, but that's, that's probably more the recruitment. But I wanted to ask on page 9, you said the current status. So it's the class started with 2 females?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's all I need to know. And then on page 10, you have, which I want to say again, thank you so much for this report. It's really good. And I just wanted to make sure that, if we're missing something, make sure we get it in there. Can you speak to the test, the practical training week 14 to 22, during the advanced training, there's also a demonstration of strength and stamina, which is necessary for recruits to perform at a basic firefighter level in the field, which absolutely. Who certifies those tests?
Those have been certified through, over the years, we had a and I'm speaking way back to when they first started doing this back in, oh gosh, class 0501. We started doing this practical application training. I was a captain one at the time, and we had selected groups of firefighters and recruits and got a collection of data and had them all go through this to look at that.
So there's no third party assessment, or it's just LAFD. It's created in-house, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have, when was the last time it was certified by the LAFD?
I'd have to report back on that.
Okay, great. I think I appreciate this, and I think maybe if we could have this come back and with the information, just, with the reassigns, and then if you can just check back on that, maybe in 30 days, that'd be good.
Yes, ma'am.
That's it. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Glazier, did you have your hand raised?
Yeah. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So yeah, thanks for the report. Just on the statistics question. So just to be clear, so reassign means that something happened within the current class and they needed to drop out, could be an injury or something, and then they, just to review it, then they have 18 months. Can you just remind me how the reassign works?
So the reassign program, each recruit has 365 days from the day that they started the academy to enter a second academy. We have, each recruit is if they qualify, are able to go through attempt the academy 2 times. The reasons that people would reassign would be, one would be due to performance, where their scores fall in above standard or at standard in one category, but just below in that 65 to 70%, 65 to 69%, where we would allow them a second attempt. And that would either be through the basic portion, which is basic hose evolutions and ladders, or if they're unsuccessful with one of the phases there's 3 phases, and that's that practical application Commissioner Nimberg was just discussing. If there's 3 events that they have to complete to be successful, if they're not successful with one, that would have them land in a 66% success, which would enable them to be allowed to go through that academy again to be successful. Our reassigned success rate is quite high. It's in the high 80s of success. And we're really proud of that program, and it's been going on for many, many years.
Okay, so just a couple of suggestions to think about here. Or one more question, sorry. So the new hire number, if I understand you, once that number is done, that number doesn't change even if they get reassigned. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so that's the whole double counting issue that you're avoiding, right?
Right.
So,
it is confusing.
So no, yeah. So the numerator, which if I'm thinking back to my 5th grade math, that's the top number, right?
That's the
that
top.
number always that number may change, but the denominator stays the same because that's your new hire number.
Yes.
Okay. So one way to do this would be, since you're listing out the classes, and just something for you to think about is, if you have all the classes listed, right, you have your, as you've done here, new hires, retention, graduates, and then you have on a class by class basis, the reassigns in another column there, right? And so that we can see that across each class, how many were reassigned. And then you may have, your sort of graduation rate, which is sort of your retention rate as of graduation. And then you may have that's your kind of adjusted retention, right? Because you're not counting your reassigns. And then you may have your actual retention that then there's obviously an 18-month lag because you have to see what happens. And so that, it's obviously going to be a lag report for some time, but it catches up over time. And that may enable you to sort of just have a clean accounting. Now I get that you would then have to make a conscious decision to say, okay, we're only going to count, the graduates will attribute to the class in which they were hired in, right? So you just have to be clear about that being the case, because then they would sort of retroactively accrue. So that's one way to think about doing it, because I understand your challenge here on how you count the numbers. But if you're lining them out sort of on a page, you have each individual class, and you have that column, and you're just noting that the graduates attribute to the class in which they were hired, that may help you present the data in a clear way where you kind of see what happens with kind of, even though there's a lag there on a class by class basis. So something to think about. On the reassignments, I think it would be interesting to note, I think you should share the data. I mean, it sounds like you've got something good that's going on there with the reassignments. It's worth sharing to say, hey, this is how the program is successful. I think it's also interesting to note where we are losing people to reassignment, which is say, like, do we lose them in the first quarter? Do we lose them in the second quarter? I don't know if you break it up by quarters, whatever it is, but if there's a specific aspect of the training course that we see people typically fall out into reassignment, I think that would be interesting to note as well, if that's possible to do while you're talking about reassignments. That just may give us an interesting snapshot of what's going on there. And then my last question is, we used to do a survey of probationary firefighters. Are we still doing that survey of probationary firefighters?
From what I understand, it's a union issue, and
Okay.
they don't allow us to do surveys anymore. We do get information through our quality assurance unit and they're on top of any issues that come up. We do allow the recruits to do a course evaluation at the end of the course, and they have an opportunity to write in comments.
Okay, so the mental health stuff that we did a while back, we can't do that anymore.
The mental health?
Yeah, because I think our counselors did, the doctors did a mental health survey of probationary firefighters.
I think that would be different than the survey that I thought you were asking about. So what the mental health, I know per your guys' request, for the commission's request, we now have 8 hours of behavioral health incorporated into their whole year.
Great.
So we do 2 hours in the academy and an additional 2 hours in each of their field training exercises. And that's their 4-month, their 9-month, and their 12-month.
Oh, so that adds up to 8 hours total.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, if there is still that mental health survey of probationary firefighters after the year, that is going on still. I think that was interesting data just on how people are doing once they get out there and how they're doing in the field. Since that does seem to, they're still kind of under your purview, right? While they're probationary firefighters. Is that true?
Up until they're off probation, they fall under my umbrella.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's just something I think to look at. It's just again, a little more information on how are they doing once they get out there. I mean, look, the retention numbers seem good. Do you have, I'm sorry if I missed it. Is it in here on you did note the retention rates in here once they do get onto who gets off probation?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a breakdown on that by gender and ethnicity? Is that in here? Did I miss it?
That's under in status.
And status. Okay.
Page 4, I believe.
Page 4. Okay. Great. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. All right. And do you track their separation out of? Is that's the probationary separations? That's the 5. I see, because that's the only people who've been off probation long enough to track.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Great.
That's
Okay.
that's the lag that we're talking about.
Of course. Yes. Okay. Well, thank you for including that. I think that's great. Okay. Anyway, those are my questions. Thanks for the information. I think I wonder, what do you attribute the greater retention? Because you mentioned there was an increase in retention in some aspects.
It's a slight increase in tension. It could just be the fluctuation of the classes, but we've been really pushing the CAPS program really hard. In fact, this last class that started, I actually put together a little video and kind of personally invited them via their emails to come out to CAPS. And so we had a really good push in CAPS. Then unfortunately, we had to shut things down. So we're ramping things back up, and we're hoping this. It's not just, you know, the exercise. It's learning the culture, and we do pull out some tools and equipment, and they get an opportunity to get hands-on before the academy.
Okay. Okay, great. That's all my questions. Thanks so much.
Thank you. This is very thorough. You know, we see this report regularly. I feel like it might be like 6 years going that we've had this report, and the numbers get incrementally better. There is some fluctuation, like you mentioned, but overall, just moving in the right direction. So thank you for the report.
You're welcome, President.
Thank you. Do we have any public comments, Stephanie?
We do have one hand raised. Let me go ahead and
Okay.
ask them to unmute. If you please press *6 to unmute. 253.
Good morning, Madam President, Fire Commissioners, Fire Chief Terrazas, and everyone in attendance. This is Captain Robert Hawkins representing the Stentorian organization. Thank you for the report this morning. There's a lot of, it contains quite a bit of information. I do want to point out on page 4, we talked about section 1.2, the ethnicity breakdown. It's important to say, I want to focus on the African American retention rate, the academy retention rate, which is listed here as 96%. And we spoke, Chief Skelly spoke about double counting numbers, making sure we don't confuse new hires and reassigns. But the 96% is, depending on how this report is laid out, that's not a accurate number how we view it, because if you categorize the new hires and then you include reassigns in the graduates, then the 96% is just a false percentage. If you include the individual categories of reassigns, new hires, then we can get something that we can compare to. My understanding that this report was brought together to look at a trend. The last report we looked into, and it was a little easier to read for us because we were looking at the 22% in class 2019-2, which we had something to go off of because we were looking at one class. With this one, if you put reassigns in the graduation rate, then you got 29 new hires and 28 graduates. It's going to give you 96%, but that's not. That's very difficult for us to look at, and we do appreciate the report. Another thing I want to bring up is.
I'm sorry, the 2 minutes are out.
Commissioner.
Sorry, your 2 minutes are up, but we do have public comment at the end. So if you can hold on and give us the rest of your comments in a couple of minutes, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Commissioner.
Do we have another public comment, or can we?
I believe there is one more. 105. If you'll press *6 to unmute.
Good morning. Do you hear me? This is Freddie Escobar.
Yes.
We can hear
All right.
you.
Good morning, all. Freddie Escobar, President of United Firefighters of Los Angeles City, representing over 3,400 brothers and sisters of Local 112. First, I'd like to thank Battalion Chief Skelly for his report. And as he said, I want to thank also and recognize his staff at the drill tower for their commitment to the LAFD and to UFLAC, and that they continue to maintain the minimum standard of the LAFD regardless of the candidate's race, gender, or ethnicity. UFLAC position, as it's been in the past and continues to be, is to maintain the LAFD standards now and in the future, regardless of race, gender, or ethnicity. Very short. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands raised at this time regarding that matter. There are no requests to speak on that board. Can move forward with a vote on
Yeah.
that item. Commissioner Hara?
One moment, I believe we need a motion
Oh, I'm
to
sorry.
adopt and a second.
Can one of the commissioners please move this?
Sorry, I moved to adopt the recommendation for item 4B.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, we should do a roll call.
Yes, please.
President Ibarra?
Aye.
Vice President Glazier?
Yes.
Commissioner Hara?
Aye.
Commissioner Nimberg?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. So before we adjourn, can we hear the rest of the public comments? And I know Mr. Hawkins had some additional comments. There might be others.
I don't see the hand.
Mr. Hawkins, can you raise your hand so that we can hear the rest of your comments?
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you. If you'll press *6 to unmute. (253), are you there?
Mr. Hawkins, we can't hear you.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam President. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, now we can.
Hello? Okay, perfect. Commissioner Glazier mentioned recruit or candidate surveys, and I just want to mention that that's something that we will be, the Centurion organization, maybe we can reach out to LAWFS and look into making sure it's okay. We might be able to do something like that from an employee organization. We would definitely like to reach out to Chief Skelly, and we'll get back to the commission with an answer or some type of status on surveys, actually talking to the recruits. But we appreciate, thank you, Chief Skelly. Thank you, commissioners, for requesting this report. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any further comments?
Joseph Smith, 938. If you'd press *9 to raise your hand, if you had. Okay. There are no other requests to speak. Oh, I'm sorry.
There's a hand.
There
I
is
see.
one, yes.
The 949 number.
Joseph, if you'll press *6 to unmute. Okay. Are you there?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is good morning, commissioners. This is Joseph Smith, arson investigator for the arson section. I'm calling in regards to a couple of concerns in the arson section. We do have a new chief in our arson section, Chief Roy Page, and we're very excited and happy to have him in our section now. But there are still some ongoing problems with the captains in this section. We have some serious concerns going on with legal documents. We have captains acting as investigators and falsely arresting African Americans within the city of Los Angeles. We also have them actually falsifying legal documents in the court system, which they are stepping out of their bounds as far as their role and responsibilities. I'm asking for outside investigation other than PSD. I'm looking for either the United States Attorney General's office or the FBI to conduct an investigation on this fire department, because PSD is not doing their job. They're picking and choosing who they want to investigate and who they don't want to investigate. And that's a big problem. It's not the investigators that are the problem. it's the command staff. And this needs to be looked at from an outside entity because the fire department is protecting their own. So it's a big problem. And I would like the board to look into this, please, and get back with the arson investigators. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any further comments?
Stephanie, you're muted. I don't believe there are any further public comments.
No, I'm sorry about that. Yes. No further public comments.
Okay, so can we have a vote to adjourn?
Move to adjourn. Commissioner Glazier, move to adjourn.
Second.
Can we have all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Till next time.